This week we're at the WOW, Wonders of Wildlife Museum in Springfield, Missouri at Bass Pro Shop. In fact, the next several weeks we're in Springfield, Missouri to take you into the Wonders of Wildlife Museum that Johnny Morris has created. Millions of people go through this every year from all over the world. Talk about conservation and animals and what it's done. You can't believe the number of kids that go through that. So sit back and enjoy, and thanks for watching another Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventure.
The famous beaches of California aren't the only places to check out the Golden State's wildlife. Just inland from the big waves, there are big bucks. And Bob Folkrod has traveled here in hopes of adding to his obsession quest with a Columbian Black-Tailed Deer.
It's kind of a Mexican standoff right now.
Victor Chevrolet, Bass Pro Shops, and Alamocitos Ranch present Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventures. Seven continents, 80 species, a 5-year quest in the making, high adventure, dangerous game, real-world training tips. This is Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventures.
Join me, folks. I'm headed to California, Monterey, California to be exact. And this is my second trip. My first one was for Tule elk, and Pete invited me back. Part of my obsession quest was the Columbian Black-Tail. Oh, I tell you what, this is an exciting adventure. It's great to go back and hunt with Pete.
350 miles up the coast from LA lies the small seaside city of Monterey. First made famous by the writer John Steinbeck in his novels Cannery Row and Sweet Thursday, the community faces Monterey Bay. Home to more than 30 species of marine animals, it is considered one of the most diverse oceanic ecosystems in America. The waters here teem with life, and so does the nearby countryside. This part of California produces an enormous amount of fruits and vegetables for the nation. The same pleasant weather that grows these crops also develops big blacktails in the area mountains. Bob will be hunting with good friend Pete Salachi on his ranch, returning to a place where he has already had success on Tule elk. The Salachi family has had this property since the 30s, and they haven't changed it much. It's an excellent example of old California's rugged beauty.
It's not really an open ranch. We have a lot of chaparral brush, some open grassy ridges, pine trees up on top. Also, I think the elevation here at the base camp is about 800 feet, and top of the ranch is a little over 3,000. I guess I'm the Jeep driver, guide, deer hunter, whatever Pete tells me to do is kind of my official title. And probably know the ranch as well as anybody else around here. Pete's probably the only one that knows it more than I do. And I think my dad's been hunting up here for 60 years. And I've been up here as a kid with my father without a rifle since 1968, and started hunting with a rifle up here in '76. So I got a lot of years up here. There's not too many canyons and roads I don't know. So, and I've seen what the bucks do up here and where their escape routes are, and we just drive around and spot them and stalk them.
Well, in this case, you know, I meet Pete Salachi, I think, you know, gosh sakes, 4 years ago. I started researching out where I could get a Tule elk, and Pete's name kept popping up, and, you know, so I called him, and gruff old boy, you know, he reminds me of my dad, you know, and geez, we just hit it off on the telephone, and we finally got out here on a Tule elk, and then we really hit it off.
I met Bob 3 or 4 years ago. He came here on a tule elk hunt, and we hunted together for 4 or 5 days. And he was a pleasure to hunt with, you know, straight shooter. And he took a nice tule elk. And we got the tule elk probably the 2nd or 3rd day, and then we hung out, and actually we went to a baseball game. Went to the A's game, saw them plays, and Bob said the first time he'd ever been to a professional baseball game.
Next thing you know, we're sitting at a baseball game, and I tell him about this Quebec caribou hunt that we're gonna go on to, and next thing you know, Pete and his son Kevin, we're on a caribou hunt together, and we wound up on this Columbian Black-Tail, and I think we talked more about the caribou hunt than we did tule elks or Columbia Black-Tail, but that's what hunting camps are for.
The potatoes are excellent.
We had a good time with them, and that's why Pete had a good time, and Pete invited him back for this hunt.
Thanks for a good day, gentlemen.
Did I?
Appreciate it.
Bob's quest for a Columbian Black-Tailed Deer gets underway when we return.
Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventures is brought to you by these fine sponsors: Vortex, Kinatrek, Kufaru.
As people who love the outdoors, we know what we stand for. We stand for fish, wildlife, and conserving the places they call home. We stand for the traditions we inherited and that we must pass on. We stand for great gear, fair prices, expert service, and memorable experiences. At Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, we stand together for you.
For everything Chevy, you need to visit Victor Chevrolet, the place where my family and I get our vehicles. With a large selection, dedicated employees, quick service, and amazing savings, I became the biggest fan of Victor Chevrolet. If you're looking for a reliable vehicle and service, look no further than my friends at Victor Chevrolet. 7200 Pittsford Victor Road, or victorchevrolet.com. Just check and see if there's room for the cup.
Bob has arrived in California to meet up with his good friends, the Salachi family, to engage with the secretive Columbia Black-Tailed Deer. These animals are a fantastic hunting challenge for any sportsman. And for Bob, a successful hunt here will be one more achievement towards completing the obsession quest.
You know, instead of going to Quebec every year and hunting caribou or just jumping in a tree stand hunting deer, I was just thumbing through the Safari Club magazine, and I think there was 50 on it when I first started it 5 years ago. And it kind of clicked. I said, well, it'd be neat to knock that list off. So at the same time, you know, and I said, well, it'd be neat, you know, see a lot of different places. And then I got, you know, I said, well, I wanted to do all the turkeys because of Jerry Martin. I wanted to hunt with him. So I said, okay, I'll go do the World Slam of Turkeys. And then all of a sudden the Big Six popped in there. And then I got an opportunity to go do Marco Polo and Ibex and head to New Zealand. And so it kept mushrooming, you know, and I took advantage of everything that was coming that way. So in round figures, I got 5 more animals to do after this Columbia Black-Tail. It'll give me 80 different species in 5 years. So we had to wind up giving it a name, so, you know, I called it the Obsession Quest, you know, and some people ask me why that, you know, and I said, well, I guess maybe I'm obsessed, you know, and they kind of look at me and I said, well, it's the weekend. And I said, you're going to go hunting no matter what happens, whether it rains, snow, sleet, hail. So you're obsessed, you know, whether it's just walking out your door to do a turkey hunt or a deer hunt, you're obsessed. So the quest was all the animals. So who knows, you know, maybe after I'm gone for 6 or 15, 18 years, somebody will remember Bob Folkrod for doing an Obsession Quest. If they don't, I've had one heck of a ride just putting it all together and getting it all captured on video. Sheila, my wife, says, well, what are we going to do with the mounts, you know? So we donated them to Bass Pro Shop. They agreed to life-size them all and keep them under one roof and kind of make it into a museum setting. And, you know, instead of being tucked away someplace in my lodge, lots of people will be able to get you know, a chance to look at those animals and dream just like I did. Here comes the shot when he stops. Well, you may only get a chance to do one adventure hunt in your lifetime. So when you check, you know, and you check on the shows or check my website out, you know, those outfitters I picked out very carefully, because you may only get one adventure, and I want you to be taken as good a care of as I was. So don't be afraid to go on the website. Don't be afraid to, you know, look at the information and ask for information. And I encourage you to write in. You know, when you see a good show, you know, write in about that. Be positive onto it. The first seminar I ever went and seen in my life was Lenny LaRue. And this is a good tip for anybody that's watching this. You know what I came away with there? He was talking about whitetail. I don't have a clue what he said about whitetail back then, but I did come away with, you are who you hang around with. You hang around with positive people, you become positive. If you don't like the crowd you're hanging around with, change it. Start hanging around with some positive people, and guess what? You'll probably start going on some adventure hunts too. Instead of whining about it, going, oh, I can't ever go on a hunt someplace.
Transportation for all of Bob Folkrod's hunting adventures is provided by Victor Chevrolet. Check them out at victorchevrolet.com. Few are those that have a more storied hunting career on video than Bob Folkrod. Legendary moments, documented in front of the unblinking camera eye for over 30 years. This week's Flashback Hunt is brought to you by Sims Vibration Laboratory.
Bob and his great guides, Mike Ritchie, Kip Corville, along with guest Tom Shank, are going back into this big, beautiful country to set some baits to see if they can get a bait. This is the only way, along with running dogs, that you can find bear in this big country. Bob has decided to hunt this bait, and he and Mike and Kip are going to set up about 250 yards up the hill from the bait.
Comes our bear back. Comes our bear back.
Same bear's coming back.
Shot. That was a good shot. Killed him clean.
I think that's my first bear with a gun. Or I should say a rifle. He came in, messed around all around that bait. He was a little antsy, and I got kind of watching him. He really didn't give me a good shot. It was early, and I thought maybe we'd get a bigger bear. So anyway, he went back in the bushes and ate up on what he was had, and he came back out, started coming to bait, and he turned there and gave me that good shot. I mean, you never know. We've been into everything. We've been in the snow, a little bit of rain. The weather could change just like that and be over with it. We've had a great experience. I mean, we've seen all kinds of wildlife. My buddy Tom got one with a bow. I mean, what a great experience. Time to go down there and get him. I'd like to get a flat spot around here someplace. Yeah. Is there such a thing? All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Kip.
Bob's gear includes a Browning A-Bolt 300 short mag, Winchester 180 grain Nosler ballistic tip bullets, Swarovski optics, Redhead Enduriskin base layers, and Redhead clothing with Gore-Tex and Windstopper.
Well, we started out at daylight, and we had a plan to go up on this ridge, very good point, to glass some of the best country of the ranch. We had like 3,000 or 4,000 acres we could glass.
You know, everybody always watches commercials. Sunny California. I mean, why would Gore-Tex work out here? Well, I want to tell you, the first time you get in that Jeep and you go through that fog and the temperature drops about 30 degrees, you know, that little light-weight Gore-Tex, you know, jacket, you pull that out and put that on, you know, and we go through them pine trees and it felt like it was raining. That's why you put it in there.
When the wind blows through the fog, it's like having the air conditioning on full blast.
You pull that Gore-Tex jacket out, you know, and you put it on. Keeps the dampness off of me, it keeps the wind off of you. That was one of the first things I threw in there because I've been here before and I knew how that fog rolled off the ocean. You know, sometimes it's high and sometimes it's low, but that temperature drops. Even in sunny California, it gets cool, and you'll be glad you put that jacket in. Other than that, you know, I didn't need the boots. I didn't need my extreme element jacket because it wasn't that cold. But just little things like that, when you get in that Jeep, she's gonna cool off onto you. So make sure you got that Gore-Tex jacket in there just for that reason.
And we stayed there probably for 2 hours and didn't see much. I think we saw 3 or 4 does, no bucks, and a lot of elk.
Columbian Black-Tail, I'd be the first one to admit I don't know a darn thing about them, you know? If it's any type of a whitetail, all you have to do is figure out their eating habits, you know? Pete and Kevin, his sons, suggested that I come out at this time of year. It was the last week of season, the rut should be going on. And we've seen rutting activity, we've seen them feeding, we've seen them, you know, bedding down. So, you know, it may be called Columbian Black-Tail, but to me, they're just like any other whitetail that you're gonna hunt. Find out their little bit of habits. You know, anytime those does are leading the chase and they get a breath of that little scent in the air, they're gonna be after it. And when they're not, they're gonna be feeding and you know, the mornings happen to be slow and the afternoons seem to be picking up. And I'm not a scientist or a biologist. I just accept what happens and try to adjust to it.
There's a lot of water on this ranch. Almost every canyon has a spring in it. And these bucks, early part of the year before the rut hits, don't have to move 100 yards in a day. The feeding area, the bedding area, the watering area is right there. And that's why we don't really see them till the rut hits. And I mean, they got acorns, they got brush, water. What else you need? Until they need does, and then that's when we start seeing them because they start looking.
They've got so many places to hide. When you first look at it, you know, you see a lot of these open hillsides, but the big canopy just from an oak tree almost touches the ground. And the sun gets up there and it shades them, and boy, unless you happen to see an ear popping out or you happen to be glassing, that's just one challenge. And then you get the other challenge where you got so much brush into the area. You know, I'm always laughing and Jesus, I mean, you know, they have no place to hide. You know, yeah, almost every time you turn around, there's a place for them to hide. And all I have to do is take a couple steps or a couple bounces and they're gone.
You know, they like to stay hid. I've been hunting this particular ranch for 38 years. And it really doesn't do any good to go bust through the brush because they will let you walk within 5 feet of them and not move. And when they get up, when you step on them, you better be ready. So we don't even try to do that because you can't size up their horns, and a running shot really isn't that good of a shot anyway. But we like to glass, find them under an oak tree or wherever, and then come up with a game plan to make a sneak or a stalk and harvest them.
The challenge of, you know, yeah, we use the Jeep to get around the lot, but we have to cover a lot of area too. We'll pull up on top of a hill and glass, and we're coming down off a hill and where the roads are, and we may stop and glass there, and it just saves a lot of footwork. And it'd be the same as riding a horse or a four-wheeler or anything to get from place to place. And so yeah, we took advantage of that Jeep. And I'll tell you what, this ranch is big because, you know, we traveled and did a lot of hunting, and we still haven't seen all the ranch.
The general characteristic of these blacktail we have, and a lot of ranches around here, they're not this way. I think these deer are conditioned to us road hunting. They're used to hearing us coming, stopping, and freezing. If they think they're hidden, they will not move. As soon as they think, uh-oh, he sees me, they run.
The creation story of our various North American deer species is as murky as it is fascinating. In the latest twist, the most recent DNA research suggests the following series of events led to the present state of affairs. Millions of years ago, white-tailed deer lived exclusively along the eastern coast of North America. Slowly, they spread south and then west across the country to the Pacific coast. Then, a changing climate shifted rainfall enough that the center of the range collapsed, isolating the two populations on the opposite coasts. This isolation caused the development of the black-tailed form of the deer in the west. For thousands of years, the two species remained separated. Then the weather changed again, widening the range of both species until they collided in the Rocky Mountains. Black-tailed bucks outfought white-tailed bucks mating with white-tailed does. This union led to the mule deer, which is where we stand today.
This week's Conservation Angle has been brought to you by Wild Sheep Foundation.
When we continue, it's crunch time for Bob Folkrod in the mountains of California.
Hey, Bob, it's 235 yards.
This segment has been brought to you by the Victor Chevrolet Deal of the Week. Check them out at victorchevrolet.com. Chevrolet.com. Find new roads.
Looking for a new or used vehicle? Check out my friends at Victor Chevrolet. You'll be totally satisfied. That's where I get all my vehicles.
Together is about a little kitchen table and a little elbow grease. Together is about a shelf in the back of Dad's shop. Together is about family. And it's about all the memories that lie ahead. Start your adventure with the experience, selection, and wonder you can only find at Bass Pro Shops in Cabela's. Your adventure starts here.
We spent the first part of the morning just glassing on a hillside where we could have a good outlook post, and I think we seen maybe a couple does or something like that, and the morning was extremely slow.
So we finally said, you know what, we're not seeing anything here. Let's just go get in the Jeep and start covering some country. And we covered some of those ridges, went up and down them, and saw a few more deer. I think we ended up seeing probably 12 deer, one small buck. And then I talked to Bob and said, you know what, let's go back in and get something to eat, and then we'll go back out this afternoon.
But we kept driving around. We got in the Jeep, and we was riding around looking at different spots, and it seemed like the later it got, we started seeing a few more deer. And we're getting up to that 1 o'clock time, and somebody said something about lunch, and I said, hey, I'm for grabbing a sandwich, let's grab a sandwich, And it wasn't like we was going to sit there and start up the barbecue. We're just coming in and getting some cold cuts and putting a sandwich together and something to drink, and we was going to be back out. We're not 100 yards from camp. We couldn't see the camp because there was a big bend in there. Jerry happened to look up on the side hill, and he goes, there's a deer.
And we're like coming back in the camp and spotted a buck on the side hill.
Put the binoculars on it, and he goes, oh, he says, we need to take a little better look at this one, I threw the binoculars onto it, and I go, boy, what do you think, and he goes, that's a good buck, It
was a good one. We decided, you know what, let's take him.
Let's see how far he is, and old Pete hollers out he's 230 some yards away or something like that, and next thing you know, I got into that kill mode. And I'm putting up tripod to shoot off from it, and at first, I tried moving in on him, and I couldn't find a good spot, and then about the same time he gets in under the trees, and now you can just see shadows, and now you don't know whether he was big enough or was he too small or whatever. Jerry went down the road just a little ways to see whether he could get a better spot.
Yeah, that's bigger, yeah.
Here he comes out now, right now. Here we go. And about that time, I'm up on my little tripod there, and he just stepped right out and I had never even looked at him again to see whether he was big or small. I just, you know, he stepped out there, and all of a sudden the safety went off and started squeezing the trigger. Okay, just wait just a minute. He's walking out. He's walking out. Here we go. He's going broadside. Here we go.
Hey Mike, I got a good spot.
I guess you do too. Oh my God, did you see that? Give me just a minute, folks. Wait, I gotta give it. Oh my God. Oh, I just had a flashback of Stan Potts there for a minute, but I got out of that now, I'm okay. Boy, he just jumped in the air and he started favoring that little leg, you know, on the opposite side coming downhill. And when you see an animal do that, you know he's not going far, you know. Huh?
Hey, I was trying to get you to come over there. I think you must have got a better angle than I had.
Just when he sat there, I was ready to get up and come to see what you were seeing, he stepped right out there broadside. He went right out of our sight down. He was favoring that opposite shoulder.
Okay.
Yeah, he's laying there someplace.
All right, well, let's go take a look.
Good deal.
He looks done.
I think he looks pretty done, yeah. Oh, pretty buck, huh? You down, big guy? Oh, yeah. How about that? Blacktail. Well, we're just getting ready to come in for lunch. You looked up there and said, oh, there's one.
Yeah, like I saw something gray by that tree.
Oh, we better take a better look at him.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's been a great morning. What do we see? A whole bunch of does, some spike.
Yeah.
Seen a spike, a bunch of elk.
Somewhere else in deer.
And a nice blacktail right there. Part of my obsession right there. My obsession quest. Columbian Black-Tailed. Beautiful deer. Pretty face on him. I mean, just almost like a whitetail, but different. I guess that's why they call him Columbian Black-Tailed. And no regrets at all. Great adventure, great time away from home. You know, met a bunch of new friends and reminisced with some old ones that I had met before up here on a Thule elk hunt. All right. Thank you kindly. Hope Pete will be happy with that.
For help with all of your hunt booking needs, contact J&M Safaris at jnmsafaris.com. After your successful hunt of a lifetime, contact Wes Good at canadistudio.com for the finest taxidermy in the business. Be sure to follow Bob and all his adventures at bobfolkrod.com/TV and facebook.com/bfolkrod. And don't forget to hit the like button.